Welcome to Push Room, where we talk about disability news, culture, interviews, and more. I'm Ray Pizarro. Today on the show, we have our friends here, Mark and Andy, that are going to talk to us more about Butterfly, a new transportation system that helps a lot of people with different disabilities. Thanks for having me stop in and, talk a little bit more about your service.
Definitely, Ray. We're glad you guys are here. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks, Ray. Appreciate it.
Okay, let's get right into it, shall we? What is Butterfly?
Yeah. And you thanked us for having you. We really appreciate you having us on the podcast, Ray. And
cool.
And just it's actually real simple what we do. We're bringing the benefits of the on-demand economy to people in chairs. So we're bringing on-demand wheelchair accessible vehicles.
Wow. And what services areas do you guys serve?
We're in 17 markets throughout Southern California, Arizona, and Nevada. So if at the end of the podcast, we'll give you our website, you can actually see the specific markets we're in, but Los Angeles, San Diego, Orange County, of course, Vegas is an important one, Phoenix, and Tucson.
Yeah, it's a well-needed service, being limited right now to just, a few other transportation options for us that really need it. So it's good that other players are stepping in to help fill a void, right?
Well, I appreciate that you see it that way. For us, we saw the exact same dilemma. Everyone I talk to kind of assumes that when you see the icon of the chair on the Uber app, it must be the case that Uber's kind of got this one solved. Is that been your experience?
I haven't rode them too much,
The answer would have been an immediate yes if it was working out well, right?
Right.
And it wouldn't be a mystery at all. The opportunity that we saw was that there's this underserved niche of people in chairs where it didn't need to be that way. It doesn't need to be underserved. There actually is excess capacity in the same way that there's vehicles that were sitting in millennials' driveways that are now doing Uber and Lyft. Mm-hmm. We have business owners, our transportation providers, they had vehicles that were sitting unused, and professional drivers that had nothing to do between their drop-offs and pickups.
Wow.
We've made a network of all of these transportation providers, and collectively we're able to fulfill requests with a 30-minute response time.
That's great. That makes a huge difference. What's the team look like?
Can you give a background story on this one?
Yeah, we can do a bit of an origin story.
Okay.
Yeah, but Mark, why don't you tell them how we met? I mean, was that a wedding?
Yeah, no, so I met Andy through a mutual friend about 10 years ago at a wedding, and I got to talk to Andy because he's a great guy. He has similar interests with what I was, getting to. So basically, I told him I was interested in adaptive products and services. And I told him my story, how I'd been in a chair for, at the time it was, 12 years.
Well, that's a big relief you weren't part of a online dating service when you guys met. So that's kind of a cool deal, that you met that way. So
so Andy and I started to talk, and we just had mutual interest, and we didn't have anything at the time to really work on, but we kept in touch. And then Andy reached out to me last year, and it had been probably 7 years since we'd really talked. And he said, look, I've got this company I'm working for. I want you to come in and check it out. I think it's kind of right up your alley. So I went in and I got a chance to meet the team, Delilah Lenoir and John Harris, both, and I'm not VP and president of the company at the time. And Andy's the CEO. We get to sit down and kind of talk about the company, but I got to kind of give them my background and how I feel that, there was, as Andy said, an underserved need. I used access services when I was in college, and I understand that it's one of the few options out there. It's not reliable, and I struggled with it. So I know transportation is very near and dear to me personally. So the thought that they were going to come out with a service that could compete with some of these other big companies out there that really, we're not doing a good job at it. I mean, if you look at the model of Lyft and Uber, it's not set up to scale a wheelchair accessible vehicle. It really is not. It's not an easy thing to do, but they're so big that, they really didn't have to, I guess approach it in the way that I would like, which is to really go after and meet the need.
Yeah.
So that, I was pretty excited to meet the team, and it's just kind of been, we've been a good love affair since. So I've been with them for over a year, and I'm really excited about where they're going and what we're doing. So
Good for you. I think that's a very important point, that bringing you in as a disabled individual or physically challenged, that we like to use better than the D word. But it gives people and companies different perspectives, right? On what it could be as simple as opening a door, getting in, or what balance issues we might have. I mean, there's so much we bring to the table that we think more companies out there should take note, right?
Well, and for us, our whole business is built on the quality of our service. And so when it comes to being able to vet out the companies who are a part of our network and make sure that the drivers who are actually providing the service are professional and providing a consistent level of service, if we didn't have the perspective from someone who is himself a customer, we wouldn't be able to really. You need someone like Mark on the team to just be able to get it for this type of company.
Absolutely. Another question. So what actually are the differences between you and Uber or Lyft per se?
There's a number of differences. The on-demand, they really paved the way for being this whole notion that you can bring together underutilized resource and collectively fulfill on-demand requests, okay, with a community of providers.
Okay.
Now, our community of providers are fleet owners. Our transportation providers are folks who've been in business for 10 to 30 years, typically, providing wheelchair accessible vehicle transportation for that time. The drivers who they employ are extensively vetted, they're background checked, they're trained, right? And the training piece is one we've paid particular attention to, going back to the importance of Mark being on the team. He's developed and in the process of developing more training modules to ensure that drivers are professional, safe, and that the quality of service is unparalleled.
Right. So we have a safety and sensitivity analysis, like a module that we're growing, that we want to sell to the different transportation providers so that their drivers know how to, how do you speak to someone who has a disability? How would you work with them? If they need help, how would you approach them? And then also all of the, different safety concerns. And there's a lot of things that people don't think about, and you can tell, right? I mean, you go and you have someone help you, and they might ask, they might not, they might assume. My favorite is someone when they try to grab me on my back and, hey, what's up? They grab my shoulders and they throw me out of my chair.
I know what you mean.
So it's a lot. And when Andy asked, hey, we want to address this, can you start working on it? There's a lot of things. I pulled together a lot of resources, and there are things that I learned, that I didn't know about, varying mobility issues. But it's great because it kind of sets our drivers apart. We're not hiring the part-time person that wants to make a little extra money. I mean, these are trained people that work for fleets, and they want this job, and we want to set them aside. Make them better at their job. So that's what we're bringing to the table.
No, that's key. And this disability etiquette and sensitivity training go hand in hand. And then you want to make sure the clients you're serving get home and say, I had a pleasant trip. This is pretty smooth. They were asking me what I needed before they actually did something to help me. So that goes a long way, and people are paying attention when it comes to sensitivity and just having a good experience when you ride. So what locations are you guys as far as reach for the service?
We're in 17 markets across Southern California, Nevada, and Arizona.
Okay.
We've got Los Angeles, San Diego, Las Vegas, and Phoenix. We're growing rapidly, and by June 2018, we'll be national.
Wow. Congratulations. That's good news for a lot of people. So
thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Now another thing is, what do your vehicles look like? Like, are you able to tell them if they're driving down the street? Do they have any like coloring, or how does that?
So in terms of, because I actually took a ride today, Ray.
Okay.
I had one of the transportation providers pick me up at my home in Cerritos, and they drove me to Downey so that I could go to the wellness center.
Cool.
And it was actually a transportation provider that we just signed up recently. And he picked me up in, a minivan. But that just kind of talking in general, I mean, one of the things that we do when we vet the drivers, aside from having them be background checked and, just trying to understand more about their business, we make sure from a safety perspective that they have, newer vans, vans that have been checked out. And so what that means is a lot of them are going to have some of these newer ramp vans that, I'm at an age now where I don't really care. A full-size van will work. I'm more about, can I get from point A to point B and back?
Right.
But, some of the younger generation, they want a nice, hip, new Braunability, and I don't blame them.
Right.
So part of our process is to make sure that they are having new equipment and nicer equipment. And yeah, today it was a nice minivan. He picked me up on time, and it was a great experience.
Good deal. Now, how far in advance do people have to call in to book a ride?
It's on demand. So you can today's ride. I actually called last night around 8 or 9 o'clock, and I booked it for the morning, and it was fine. So it's definitely not a 24 to 48 hour window. The on demand service. I don't know. What would you say? Like how quickly? It obviously depends on.
Yeah, what we say is a 30-minute response. If there's traffic, it could be a little longer. If it's a remote area, at one of our big applications of our service is roadside assistance. Someone in a chair breaks down, we send a vehicle and pick them up, take them to safety. Now, that if you're going to a rural area, might be a little bit longer. If you're halfway between.
Understandable.
Yeah. So, but 30 minutes is the typical response. We offer scheduled as well, just for peace of mind.
Yes, that's invaluable, right? Just having a safety net, be like, they'll get here, they're on their way, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good deal. So this is the big question that a lot of viewers probably are interested in is price, right? What's the pricing look like, and how's the breakdown on that?
Price is $28.75 for the pickup and $3.45 a mile.
Okay. So that's throughout the county and surrounding counties, and that's straight across.
We've kept it consistent just to keep things easy. A lot of our partners are national or regional players, and it just, for right now, keeping things simple with one price has been the easiest way to do it. Yeah.
And one of the things I want to add, so if we're talking about subsidized services like access services.
Yes.
That's a service where you have to register. It's a smaller pool of people that qualify. I actually don't qualify anymore. I went down to LA and tried to qualify again because I hadn't used it in years, and I don't because I have power assist wheels and because I can roll myself to a fixed route public option. I no longer qualify. So one of the things that I want, because people don't maybe fully appreciate that, when you're spending, and I don't know what it is now, but it's probably like maybe between $4 to $6 to ride access each way. That is a highly subsidized option. It's a great option,
right?
But with the amount of people that can utilize it, it cuts out a lot of people. So it's nice to think that that's what it costs to pick up somebody in a chair or with a walker or something like that. But there, and I'm learning this as I go because I had the same question. I was a little bit concerned about that. There is an incredible amount of overhead, additional insurance, different costs that these drivers have to basically, take on.
Absolutely.
So for them to be able to stay in business and to do this, they have to, charge a fair market price. So it's not something that I know people will at first probably like, but, parity in price between what Uber and Lyft are doing for ambulatory rides, it's really difficult to get to a happy place, but it's something that we're working on. But I believe that, having another option out there and just getting people to use it and getting the awareness out there, I think it's important. I think people will take to it, but I had a great experience this morning and I hope to continue to use it in situations where I need it.
Right.
I'm fortunate enough to have a ramp van, but there's going to be times where I might not be able to drive and I need that option. Or especially if I just want to go out late at night and I'm having a couple of drinks.
Yep.
That's the nice thing. We're relatively new where, we don't have this kind of time frame yet. It might take a little longer, but, I told Andy, I said, look, I'm going to call next week and I'm going to be out somewhere at 1 a.m. I'm going to see if, how long it's going to take me to get a ride because I think this is something that people are going to get to and want to have. So
good. Well, that's as we wrap up, Andy and Mark, want to see how we could, any way we could help to help you guys get the word out and have the service more accessible to more people. Anything we could do to help?
I think that the biggest thing is wherever you're currently getting service, ask them if they've thought about, if they've heard of Butterfly, and if they'd like to learn more about our software and how it can help them modernize their operations.
Okay.
Because there are resources that are out there with cities, with counties like Access, oftentimes hospitals and the other folks in the healthcare sector. There is an infrastructure out there, but it needs to be modernized. The lessons from the on-demand economy and the latest software innovations, they need to be transferred to all of the different providers of wave rides.
Right.
And our software is something that, as opportunities arise, we license, because in the end, our objective is just to be able to provide as many rides as possible to people who require wave rides.
Well said. Yeah, we'll make sure we share it to our community as well through social media and all the networking sites we have, and hopefully people could tap into it and make a difference in their lives. So any particular website or people could find you guys, so make sure they get more info?
Yes. So our website is, you can find us on www.gobutterfly, and it's BUTTERFLI. Phone number you would call is 855-267-2354.
Okay.
So you can call in to get service. You can actually access us directly on the website. And we do have an app, a rider app that's coming out relatively soon that we're
Sweet.
still testing, that, definitely rivals our big competitors. So make it easier depending on who is riding, whether they're elderly or not, and what they choose to access our service.
Well, sounds good. Thank you guys. We appreciate the time, and thanks for sharing all this valuable information with our community.
Definitely. Thank you, Ray.
Thanks
Appreciate the
again
time
for
being here.
having us, Ray.
Anytime.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. See you next time.